Welcome to the CodeBreaker Mindset, where leaders share the unwritten rules for success. I'm your host, Chitra Nawbatt. Joining us today is Paxton Baker, chairman of the Washington Nationals Founding Partners Group. Paxton, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Chitra, thank you for having me, and that was great.
So tell us about the Washington Nationals Founding Partners Group. Lengthy title. Tell us about it, areas of focus, investments.
Yeah, kind of investments. The Montreal Expos were taken over by Major League Baseball and moved to Washington, D.C. back in 2005. And it was put out to bid, and it was about 13 different groups that were vying to buy the team. And our group, which was led by the Lerner family, a real estate development family here in the metropolitan D.C., or the DMV as we would call it, District, Maryland and Virginia, put together a group, and we put together a group of minority partners along with the Lerner family, and we were successful in purchasing the team. It was 13 groups that bid down to 8 that bid down to 4, and then one group collapsed into our group, and we were the team that actually won the bid to buy the team in May of 2006. And as fate would have it, this very same hotel that we're in right now is where we did the press conference for it when we won the team. So it's a nice little, I always have a wonderful time being in this building kind of with that memory, which was a life-changing opportunity for me to be a part of a group that bought a major league franchise. As you're aware, there's 30 teams in baseball, 30 teams in basketball, 32 that's in football now. And so it's always really a select group. Baseball is unique in that it's the longest sport of all of them. Basketball and hockey have 82 games each. Baseball is 162 games. So it literally is America's kind of pastime from the length of time. It's one of the historic original founding sports of American sports overall, and one that's globalized really nicely. So our founding partners group, there are 6 minority partners in the group, and we get along great. It's been a wonderful working relationship with the Lerner family. We've had a great run here in the city with the baseball team. Sports can be somewhat mercurial in that you go really, really high for a long time. We try to sustain that for as long as you have, and then invariably you will have a period where you go back down again. All great teams have it. Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, Los Angeles Lakers. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. Philadelphia 76ers. All the teams, you have periods. Celtics, where everybody goes up for long periods of time. You try to get as much laurels as you can and build as much heritage as you can and team spirit behind it, but you are going to take those downslopes at some point or another, and you just try to make sure those don't happen as often.
Well, we're going to get into some of the ups and downs, but
Yes.
Right now the Washington Nationals baseball team, that's the asset in the group. Any plans to add others?
Not for, so there are 8 affiliated franchises that are a part of the minor leagues of baseball. For the NBA, there's one, it's the G League. But for baseball, there are, most teams have at least a minimum of 5 to maybe some might have as many as 12 farm system clubs that are the minor leagues as they're referred to. But for the Lerner family, it's the Washington Nationals. I'm in other sports ownership groups. I'm in about 6 groups right now on the sports ownership side, and then a couple of leagues as well, in addition to the teams. And I've kind of developed a passion for it. It's worked out really well. I've done well with it, with regards to developing relationships. And if you do it right, there's a pretty decent amount of money that you can make in sports.
Well, talk about your journey into sports, because you had a rich 20-plus year career in media and entertainment, specifically BET, the leading Black entertainment network, where you led a TV division and live events. So how do you go from media and entertainment? Sports is part of media and entertainment.
Yeah.
However, traditional media and entertainment.
Correct.
Tell us about your journey to BET and then into sports and the diversity of teams that you've invested in.
Sure. So It's been my opinion, and I've certainly have heard it long before it became my opinion, of people saying do things that you're passionate about, and that if you work on things with or in that you're passionate about, the likelihood for success is much greater than if you just kind of wander into something that you're not really happy in, you're not really passionate about. For myself as a kid, my two great loves as a child were music and sports. So I did not necessarily set about planning to transition into sports on the other side of media and music entertainment, but it just happened to work out that way. And it's something I'm overwhelmingly passionate about. So that's what kind of got me into it. I played baseball, basketball, and football as a kid through high school, and started collecting music when I was 11 years old, and started producing concerts when I was in college at Temple University. So I started producing jazz concerts in college, ended up having a career producing jazz festivals around the world. Starting my first international festival I produced was Aruba in 1990, the Aruba Jazz and Latin Music Festival. The year after that, I produced the Drum Jazz Festival. And at one point was producing somewhere between 6 to 8 music festivals internationally a year. I ended up selling that company to Bob Johnson at BET the year before Bob sold BET to Viacom. And so I was a part of that climb. The sports came while I was president of BET Productions and executive vice president of BET Jazz, which became Centric. And I had the opportunity through, I call him the world's most famous dentist. His name was Dr. Ronnie Rosenberg. He introduced me to the Lerner family. He did their teeth and he did my teeth. So it was like, I tell people relationships are the most critical part, in my opinion, of the sports space. And media and entertainment is very important as well. Relationships are everything. So I built up a lot of relationships. Ronnie Rosenberg introduced me to the Lerner family. The first meeting that I had with them was supposed to be a 45-minute meeting that almost lasted about 3 hours. I felt just a great immediate connection with them. I think they're an amazing family and have put together a great organization, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. So that's how I got into baseball, was through meeting the Lerners. And once I got into baseball, it's just kind of picked up from there. I met a gentleman named Mark Ein, who's one of the principal partners of the Washington Commanders. Mark was the principal owner of the Washington Castles, which is a part of World Team Tennis. Got the tennis in 2015. A gentleman named Steve Baldwin introduced me to, he was the principal owner of the Washington Spirit, which we ended up winning the 2021 National Women's Soccer League Championship. And then literally from there, it's been, I'm in Old Glory Rugby, which is Major League Rugby. It's DC's team. There are 10 teams in Major League Rugby in the U.S. I sold my interest in the Spirit in 2021 after we won the championship, or 2022 after we won the championship. And then I just bought back into the new women's soccer league called it's called the Super League. And that's the new women's sports league that's formed by the USL. And we just started last year. So in DC, it's women's soccer, baseball, and rugby. And Jason Levian, who owns the DC United, also owns the new women's club. The DC Power is the principal owner. He has a team in Brisbane, Australia, which I'm a partner with him on. And then I bought into the Tomorrow Golf League with Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, which has been on ESPN for a while, for about the last 2 months. And the Unrivaled League, which is women's basketball. It's 3-on-3 basketball, which just started up in January as well.
So let's get into the rules of the game, because with all that involvement and so many different rules and teams, so many different leagues and teams, male and female, let's get into the rules of the game. Going from media and entertainment, a senior seasoned executive, into sports, how did you learn the written and the unwritten rules of the game? And what are those?
Yeah, well, I think some of them you have to feel. You just kind of feel your way along. I mentioned the importance of relationships earlier. Just like with corporate boards, the bulk of those are done by people referring other people to join boards. Sports ownership is the same way. It's literally, when you're given the opportunity to put together a group to buy part of a team, you go to people that you know and people that you've had a relationship with. You clearly have to have the financial capital to be able to join something, but it's about building relationships, and you know that quite well on the whole piece about relationships and the importance of that. So I don't know if I would say there are so many kind of unwritten hardcore rules. I think living in Washington, D.C., I've been here for 35 years now. If you can make your way around Washington, I've lived in New York City, I'm from Los Angeles, you can pretty much find your way around a wide array of different things. So it's you having building the relationships, building capital to be able to make quality investments, and then getting lucky, candidly.
Well, and on that, let's go a little bit further, which is take us into your pattern recognition, right? Because as a seasoned executive, you talk about relationships, but you would have gone through many highs and lows in the market, in media and entertainment, now in sports, what you're witnessing. And so talk about your perspective on tailwinds, headwinds, the top tailwind, top headwind facing the Washington Nationals, specifically baseball, sports, right? Because you talked about it earlier. Major League Baseball last year hit a record of more than $12 billion in revenue. There are 30 teams. Washington Nationals is valued at around $2.5 billion, ranking about halfway in the pack by valuations amongst all of the teams. So top tailwind, top headwind that you're seeing, and you as an ownership group, your pattern recognition on how you're taking advantage of positive opportunities, problem-solving issues?
Well, good question. And I think, candidly, part of it, success begets success and builds on success. And I believe that once you become successful in a given vein, that you start to be able to just sense things, and it almost becomes kind of like a second nature, much like being an athlete. When you study your opposition and even the people who are on your own team, the strengths and weaknesses of everybody that you're working with. That's something that you just immediately kind of map out right from the very beginning. The chemistry on teams aren't much different. Like literally, it's a team chemistry kind of a piece, and that's actually one of the beauties of democracy, is that you have the opportunity to learn and grow and observe different things. And then once you kind of get in the door with something, I think that I literally believe that Napoleon Hill, the great Napoleon Hill, the great writer of the book Think and Grow Rich, called it magnetism, on actually like a magnet of tracking positive things to you. It works both ways, positive things and negative things that you kind of attract to you. The whole piece about the key of being around positive people and having positive people around you in your life. Sports is pretty much the same thing by way of building a winning culture. It is a fact. You have the great teams, the Boston Celtics, 18 championships, the Los Angeles Lakers, 17 championships. You keep going, Golden State Warriors, five championships. That's not the team that was there 3 years ago. The Warriors, right now, they've been pretty much for the whole season of basketball, they've been around between 10 to 12, just barely making the play-in. I think if it was today, they may get in, but they may be a game out. So one of the greatest modern franchises of winning in sports history, the San Antonio Spurs, 5 championships with Greg Popovich. Right now, the Spurs aren't going to make the playoffs this year. They haven't made it for the last few years. So the goal of a culture is to establish a winning culture for an organization that is there for you, that withstands the highs and lows of sports, which is invariable. In organizing a group and a team, you worked to build that there. So that's kind of like the ground floor. With the way free agency has been for quite some time in all sports, superstar gets there, you have a good run, 6-7 years in a particular location, then you're going to go to another team, and probably a bigger market team. We suffer from that in DC. This is not a massive media market. We would be a second-tier market. So when you say we're kind of in the middle of the pack, that's probably fair. That's a very fair assessment for the teams in Washington that you got bigger markets. And then for some teams like baseball and football, you've got Baltimore, which is right up the road. That's only about a 30, 40-minute drive from here. So you got some pretty intense competition there as well. So I would just kind of come back to where you're at, putting a great culture together, building a winning organization, a winning mindset. And then the other part of it is you have to get lucky. And when I say lucky, for me, it's things like our star pitcher, Steven Strasburg, ended up having Tommy John surgery. The year after we won the World Series, he pretty much wasn't the same after that. Even though we signed him to a massive contract, it didn't quite work out for us from a health perspective. And in sports, that is part of the reality of it, is your superstars invariably get injured most of the time. And often they're not the same player on the other side of it. So it's being lucky. I don't mean to just throw that out that it all depends on luck, but good health, it's like you have a LeBron James who's, 21st year in the NBA. His injuries have been pretty slight over the years, but that's extremely rare. And the average career for most athletes is 3 to 6 years.
So then for you, risk mitigation, scenario planning. How do you risk mitigate? And a couple of the points you talked about, so player health is one dimension. You talked about where you're situated in Washington and that it's not a top media market. You're a seasoned media executive. So your pattern recognition in terms of unwritten rules of how you, to the extent that you can risk mitigate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think...
Or other artificial buffers or props, meaning... pushing up, wherever you can provide support.
Gotcha. Well, I think for me and my model is I started collecting memorabilia and art when I was in my early 30s, so 30 plus years ago. One of the things I learned early on, someone said to me, hey, never buy a piece that you don't like, because you may end up keeping it. You may not appreciate for everything else that you might like, but if you like it, that's what's important to you. So I feel that way about sports. Like I enjoy sports a lot, and I'll sit and flip on ESPN or something else and just watch. And like with all the other sports nets that are out there now, you can watch all different kinds of sports. And so I invest into sports that I like, that I will enjoy going down to the park or the field and seeing them play it. So that's important to me. And as far as the mitigation part, on any one investment that I do, I don't invest any more on one investment than I can afford to lose. So I've seen some incredible investment opportunities. I've invested in a number of them that have worked out, but I've invested in a number of ones that didn't work out as well. And I've seen things fold as well. So you have to be able to withstand that from a loss perspective, of knowing that whatever you put into that one single investment, the whole investment may be lost. So you have to be able to withstand that and afford that, and not like have it affect your life negatively because you made too much of a bet on one particular thing. So that's important to me. And then, as I just mentioned, like doing things that you enjoy, that's a critical part of the journey to me. As far as business is concerned, I think that entrepreneurs become more seasoned over time. You can smell something that doesn't feel like it's going to be a good investment, or something that doesn't feel like it's going to work out. I try to stay away from those things and act on things that I like and people who I like and feel good about. And I work at being a great business partner myself as well.
Let's get into the pivots. What's a significant business pivot that you've led?
A business pivot that I participated in?
That you led.
Okay. Well,
whether it's sports or whether BET or...
One of them I mentioned a little bit earlier, and that was the Washington Spirit. When I purchased into the group in end of 2019, 2020, the team was valued at $7 million. We sold it in March of 22 at $35 million. And when we sold that team, the Chicago team went for $35 million right after that, and then the franchise rights for the San Francisco team went for $60 million, and then now the valuations for the women's soccer clubs are in the $200 million range from 3 years earlier, a team that was $7 million. So sports overall, I'm really pleased and was thankful to be a part of the forefront of women's sports. The early entrepreneurs in that would have been the WNBA, which those valuations are now climbing. But women's soccer was kind of the second wave of it, and it's only going to continue to grow. I'm so happy to see women's sports being taken more seriously now by pretty much everybody across the board. And I was glad to see the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese boost that it gave to the WNBA, but I think that boost was for all of women's sports, not just the WNBA overall. So I'm glad to be a pioneer, one of the pioneers in that space. And I think that other sports have the capacity with all the different platforms. One of the things that's needed on all the platforms is content. So live sports is one of the things that's been one of the leaders from a content perspective. And I think it's only going to continue to grow. And if you look at the valuations for the teams, that's bearing that out.
Well, you talked about being an early investor in women's sports. Mm-hmm. What made you do that? Because take us into your pattern recognition in terms of the signals you look out for. Mm-hmm. You analyze those signals and you say, yep, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get into this. So you being an early investor in women's sports, what was it about the data set? What was it about the signals that motivated you to act?
Well, I thought the opportunity was good and was going to grow, if for nothing else, because of the platforms that were being out there, and then also the level of competition is as high as it's ever been. And I think college sports has been good for women's college sports has been good for such a long time. It was only to be a matter of time before that started to cross over into the professional parts. And then the entry points I thought were very favorable from, like right now in the NBA, a minority owner of an NBA team has to be able to at least put in 1% of 1% of value to get into a group, meaning that it cost probably the lowest rung NBA teams right now are about $2 billion. So you have to have $20 million of free cash flow that you can invest into a group for 1%, knowing that you're not going to have any majority say on anything. So it has to be relationships. You have to, one, have the capital, and then two, I'd like to think you have to get along really well with your senior partners for them, one, to give you the opportunity to join their group, but then two, to be in their group. And at that point, you're looking for what are the opportunities that you have that you can, what's next for yourself, because that can't be the end of it. It's got to be other things that you're participating in and growing toward.
Let's get into artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the new norm. Mm-hmm. What's the opportunity set that you all are pursuing with the Washington Nationals in terms of using artificial intelligence at scale, that type of investment, and the impact on outcomes?
I think it's fairly early on right now as to how far it's going to go and how far it's carried. I think we're at the early phase of sports for it. Certainly right now, it's helping you make decisions. And baseball teams, baseball early on, I don't know if you remember the Moneyball movie and book that kind of came out with Theo Epstein and that part of it, and that's now has spread to the evaluation part. In baseball, it was almost kind of like gut instinct early on for what you thought a player could do, how hardy that player was, how far you could ride with them. Now you have the analytics that kind of go along and go hand in hand with the gut instinct part. Artificial intelligence takes that analytics to another level. And I don't think we've really scratched the surface for how far that's going to be able to go. And there may be a point at some point in sports where artificial intelligence is even more a day-to-day part of it, and you may end up having some sports that you're betting on robots or or different types of beings or entities that are playing sports. That may be coming down the road as well. While I was in San Francisco for the NBA All-Star Weekend where we met, I got a chance to ride in one of the Waymo taxis. I don't know if you participated. Did you ride in one of those?
Not this trip.
You've done it before? You haven't tried it yet. It was great. It was great. I posted it on Instagram, and a lot of people asked me, like, was I was afraid? I didn't feel afraid in it. I didn't feel afraid, but it was overwhelmingly unique of, like, you're looking at the steering wheel drive itself and turn, blinkers come on, and there's nobody sitting there. You're in the back seat looking at the whole thing kind of happen and participating with it. And so it was a great experience. I think sports were going to continue to have more and more of that. But from the administration point of view, clearly artificial intelligence is being utilized now. I think it's going to be a much stronger part of scouting. I think that's probably where you'll see the greatest effect of it early on is scouting, to kind of take that component of the game to a higher level. But I think that the mental part of the gut instinct will continue to be there. And I don't know if artificial intelligence gets you there or not.
You used a word earlier, luck. I want to get into the magic. So this notion of your take on serendipity and where and how serendipity played a significant role in a business outcome or a career outcome for you.
Well, certainly just being lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, that has a lot to do with it. And then I think that all of the experience that goes into the experiences that you've experienced for yourself as a human being growing up and growing into an adult, that every time you walk into a room, you bring all those things with you. And when you're arriving at a decision, same kind of a thing. If you bring all those things with you, which help you arrive at the decision, the luck part is just kind of the break at that moment that, you were lucky enough to know somebody who knew somebody who made an introduction for you, and you were capitalized to be able to invest on that investment or that business relationship, and you ended up making a good return on your investment for it. It's a luck sequence, but you have to prepare yourself to be lucky.
Go a bit further. What do you mean?
If you run across a good opportunity and you don't have the money to invest in it, you're not able to take advantage of what the opportunity was because you didn't have the capital at the time to make the investment. So it might have been a great opportunity, but you don't know because you weren't able to participate in it. So getting lucky enough to be in the right room is one thing, and then being capitalized to be able to make the investment for being in that room. And then the other side of it is for it to turn. When we won the World Series in 2019, it had been since 1924 since a Washington baseball team had won a World Series. And that's a long time, right? And when we went on our run for the World Series, it was we were 19-21, 12 games below 500, and put together an incredible run. We had won the National League East 4 times prior to when we in 2019 we won the World Series. Each time we got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. It was heartbreaking, literally heartbreaking. Losing sucks. It's like it would be nice to just kind of like think, oh, you just blow it off when you leave the stadium. No, you carry that home and it stays with you for a long time. Like losing is painful. And so if given the opportunity between winning and losing, I would always take winning, but it always doesn't work that way. So, but I hope I explained the sequencing, like in as much as I use the word luck, there's a million fundamentals that kind of go on around that piece of just getting lucky or being lucky, and always being capitalized to be able to take advantage of an investment.
But in addition to being capitalized, you talk about many pieces around that luck. So in addition to being capitalized, are there 1 or 2 critical unwritten rules, ingredients that you just see consistently over time that has served you where it's like, hey, you know what? I've got to make sure I do this and this, or this is what's critical.
Yeah. Well, one certainly is respecting people, and respecting people and people respecting you. That's just kind of a critical piece to me. That was in the entertainment business, that was in the sports business, is fundamental respect. And then people liking you. Just something that simple. Most people do things with people they like, and some people who they catch a good energy or a good vibe from. And if you have that pleasing spirit, Napoleon Hill called it the positive mental attitude. Having that positive mental attitude it goes a long way, and people just catching a good vibration or a good energy from you. We talked about that when we met each other. And so you might call it pivots. You kind of like, maybe have described it from pivots, but for me, it's just respect and being given an opportunity and then delivering once you get that opportunity.
Well, on the positive mental attitude, let's go back to the Washington Nationals, which is, it finished fourth in the National League East Division behind the Philadelphia Phillies, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets. So this year, what can we look forward to in terms of positive mental attitude, or how you're going to pivot the team higher into a World Series championship?
Yes. So we have a really good core group of young players that we've been developing over the last 2 to 3 years. So when you win, your draft picks go down. So the winning teams, you're drafting somewhere between 20 to 30 on the draft side. When you lose, you're drafting between 1 to 10. So, and even then for basketball, it's the balls, the weighted balls that the commissioner lifts out the thing for, where someone's draft is going to go. You still may not end up getting the number 1 draft pick. That's luck. That's literally the luck of a ball that you pull out of a hole. And but overall, you start to get really good draft picks. You had the Kansas City Royals. They went to the World Series twice. They won one and lost one, and then they kind of slid back off again. Most sports teams, unless you're the big market teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, possibly Atlanta, but certainly Atlanta had just an amazing run where they were in the playoffs for 16, 17, it may have been 18 years that they made the playoffs for that many years. They had 5 World Series runs for the older team, and then the new one just won one, 2 or 3 years ago. But it's winning organizations, like having that winning organization, knowing that there's going to be a slide, because last year the Braves barely made the playoffs and got eliminated in the first round. Same thing with the Mets. So it's not an easy thing. The Yankees just made the World Series for the first time last year in about 10 years, or actually it's longer than that. I think it was since 2009 since they had been in the World Series, and then they lost in 6 games to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a juggernaut right now for just the amount of money they put into that team and the level of organization they have there. It's a winning franchise, winning organization. Great organization. I know a lot of the people who are over there. Stan Kasten, who's the president of the Dodgers, was our president when we bought the team from MLB, and was with us for 5 years before he ended up in Los Angeles. They've got great leadership, amazing organization. It's luck still, though, because they lost to the Astros. And or 2 years ago, when the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers were in the World Series, 2 years prior to that, they were in last place. So I mean, you can't beat it from a luck perspective, but you put together a good core, you add some veterans to it, you develop a winning franchise, winning mindset, and then you hope you get lucky at the right time.
I just want to remind you, don't forget the Toronto Blue Jays, because it represents a large market, which is the entire country of Canada. As a proud Canadian, so don't forget to talk about. Don't forget to talking about the Toronto. Got to always be worried about the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, well, we don't really worry much about the Blue Jays because they're in the American League. Yeah. So, I mean, we do play them every year now. Baseball, the way they redid the schedule, every team plays everybody at least once, and then it's so we'll have like 2 or 3 games in Toronto one year. The next year they'd have 2 or 3 games in Washington.
Paxton, to close, what's your advice on how to cultivate the CodeBreaker mindset?
Well, my fundamentals are certainly like my success guru. I read when I was 17 years old, which was a long time ago. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and that's a positive mental attitude, sound physical health, harmony in human relationships. Labor of love on all subjects, economic security, a lot of those things go along with it. But for me, at the end of the day, it's treating people the way you'd like to be treated yourself. And it's not always easy. The North Star is always, never say anything about somebody else that you wouldn't want to say about yourself. And to be as kind and gracious as you possibly can at all times. That's what I work at, being for myself. And I do try to treat other people like I'd like to be treated, and in fairness and respect and kindness and candor, all of those things, simple stuff that my mother and grandmother taught me. And I try to apply that in my business acumen and also in my living and how I treat people.
Paxton, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Chitra. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And the CodeBreaker mindset, I look forward to learning more about it on a regular basis and look at some of your other shows. And hopefully see people out at the Nationals ballpark at some point soon.
Thank you for supporting the CodeBreaker Mindset. For more episodes, go to www.chitranawbatt.com to like and subscribe. Connect with me on social media at Chitra Nawbatt.